It is Mike Barkhoff with the Live Free podcast. Here today, the guest is Zac Osgood. I misspelled your name on my phone. I just realized that. I spelled it right there, but not there. He is a fellow artist from my graduate class. He is an avid historian, and not officially, but I've seen him. I do a lot of history teachers, so I would consider him one. He is a writer of novels and short stories.
Yeah, I used to. I used to do that. Not so much anymore, but
What? You gotta keep going.
every now and then.
You gotta keep going. He's a drawer of portraits and scenery.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how I figured I'd describe it. Photographer. He had a cameo in my first debut feature film, Infinite, and we just got done filming his cameo in my second film, I Give It a Year. I have a lot of respect for Zac. He's a really nice, genuine dude, and I'm glad to have him on the podcast.
Great to be here.
Awesome. So unlike most of our other podcasts, I'm going to explore a different platform with you so I can do something I've wanted to do with you for a while, which is kind of dissect your artistic views and mindset in a one-on-one. And I figured the best way to do a personal one-on-one is to put a microphone between the two people and release it publicly.
Sounds great.
So how did you become interested in art?
Oh, I always used to do like drawing throughout, elementary school and middle school. All kinds of different things I had in mind. I'd kind of just start drawing. But what kind of really fostered any artistic side, if you want to say, would probably be being in 4-H for my county.
Oh, okay. That's
kind of where I got more introduced into photography. And I kind of started straying away from drawing for quite a while and started learning more about photography. I do draw still every now and then, portraits and mainly. But like photography is kind of my go-to a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a lot less stress than drawing. You don't have to perfect it. You can just snap a photo and be like, "That's what I wanted."
Yeah, I do have to admit, drawing though is a bit more relaxing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Why? So I didn't know this. So this is a question not off of the phone. Why don't you write anymore?
I honestly, it's just time.
Yeah.
I'm being down at the University of Iowa now. I'm in college and whatnot. It's hard to keep up with it. ROTC takes up a lot of time. Plus, there's my involvement in the National Guard. I find that I don't have that much time anymore, really, to write. Although I really should. There have been sporadic moments where I thought, I should just get into writing and continue that story that I was working on. But, just never got to it, and I really should try taking it back up.
Yeah, you should. Because, you're a very good writer.
Well, thank you.
And it sucks hearing that you don't do it no more. Are you intending to go back to it?
Yeah, and that definitely I'd want to try to revise some of my old stories, because when I remember looking through some of my old documents and looking at my old stories, and I would just go, wow, this is almost garbage, It's just like, I kept on reading, it's just like, it needs a lot of revising.
Yeah, I definitely get that. 1 second, I gotta open my phone up for the next question. So where do you, this is another thing I want to point out. I feel like me and you probably both got that first kind of art spur because we're the only child. Me and you had that in common. So when you're the only child, you don't really have no one to like go out and do things with in terms of a sibling when you're that young. So I feel like me and you probably had to like kind of figure out more stuff to do. So that's probably where we got into.
Keep your mind occupied.
Yeah, because I used to draw a lot too. And so I just figured I'd throw that out there. So like that imagination / inspiration type aspect. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not having very much to do kind of makes you want to find stuff.
Yeah,
you don't have a sibling to pick on. You don't have anyone to really mess with to go do stuff with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a creative outlet. And for me, it was always when I was stressed. Like, just life in general. You remember back in middle school and all that, where it was just like, it was really stressful, especially, I don't know, you're always kind of quiet. Maybe that's what kept you getting picked on too much. But like for me, I was a little out there, I kind of had it coming a lot of times.
Well, the thing is, all the people that picked on us don't understand that we are the very people that got them to where they are in society. Because people like me, you, and Jared, and the other Zach, Doves, we are the people that are actually revolutionary with our thoughts. Like, we're smart. And I'm not saying none of the other people in our class are smart. I'm just saying, like, we're the ones that figured out technology. We figured out this. If it weren't for people like us back in the caveman days, we wouldn't be where we are. That's how I always look at it. So anyone, because, I didn't really get picked on You probably didn't really think that I got picked on, but like in school, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, I don't know how to run a camera. You're just a nerd. You know how to run a camera."
I know that you were the go-to for technology.
And
I remember that.
And after a while, it got to the point where they were disrespecting me, like they were making fun of me for knowing how to run a camera. And it's like, fuck you, like you know, like I have mastered it, and you're coming to me for help, relying yourself a grade on it. So if you want to be, you know, a little bitch, you know, and try to, you know, give me hell for it, then I'm not going to help you, you know. And I feel like there's a lot of things that you know, like history class. A lot of people could go, "Hey, Zach, help me with this."
That's kind of what it was for me too. It's like, and then they'd come back to me later and say, "What? They don't care. Who cares?" And no one cares.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, just like, you know, come on, man.
I'm not just helping you get an A. I'm trying to help you progress in life. You know, that's how I've seen it with the filmmaking stuff. Because the thing is, for me, filmmaking is like a stress relief thing. You could pick up a camera and say what you want without having words. You know, you can make a silent film and still say something.
And I remember, and the kind of the same concept with that for me was in my writing stories. I remember I told Keeker this once, our old English teacher. She told me, "Why do you write?" And I tried to write up a response to that. And I kind of said, writing was the way that I could escape myself.
Yeah.
It was the way that I can interpret my thoughts, my feelings, the person I felt into a story. And in honesty, that character in that story was me.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
My eyes and that character.
Yeah, and you can kind of like control your own world that way too.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're not so kicked to the side having to deal with the bullshit that the world's throwing at you. You can take it, you know, take everything that's being thrown at you and turn around and make it a good thing.
Yes, and you can you can filter. You can become the hero. You can be the
villain.
The villain. You can be anything you want.
You can be a bystander. You know, anything. It's great. It truly is. And a lot of people that haven't, you know, a lot of people that don't really write like me and you do. Like, I think this is something that's also really beneficial for Zach and Jared, even when he gets in his writing spurs. It really does. It is therapeutic. You know, because you have that ability to be, this is me, this is what I want, I'm getting what I want today, you know, and then in the real life, you might not actually get what you want always, that's just how life goes, but at least you got it in your story, you know. I'm going to try and keep this flowing best I can, but I had to open my phone. Where do you intend to go with your art?
Really? I've never thought about that. You know, I've always kind of just drawn to draw, you know, and then just put on display in my room, like back in my dorm room for right now, maybe later my apartment. But like I'd show it on Instagram. My Instagram, I'd put it on. When I used to write, I used to put what I had on like fan fiction.
Just to kind of promote it, get it out there.
Yeah, and even then, it wasn't really because I cared if anyone saw it. It was like, I put it out there, you know?
Yeah.
I never really thought about where I was going to go with my art. My photography, I just share on Instagram.
Yeah. So do you just view it as kind of a hobby?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
See, my thing was I always considered it a career. So whenever it wasn't going well for me, I would get super mad at it, and you know, people not helping it gain any recognition or anything. And I actually like came to this point. It was actually like just last month, where like I was really on the verge of just quitting, like filmmaking all together. I was like, fuck this, I'm done. Like, I do not, you know, I'm tired of not getting in the views and all that. And Zach Delves was like, it's because you're looking at it as a career rather than a hobby. And so I started doing that, and ever since it's been a lot less stress-free. And kind of like what you were saying, like I just put it out there to put it out there. I don't care who sees it, what they think, because what we think about what we do, people probably don't pick up on, because your perception is different than anyone else's, you know.
Yeah, and I've considered like maybe trying to like sell some of my photography, doing copies of my work, and trying to sell it, my drawings and whatnot, but just never got around to it. You know, like I said, for me, it's mostly just a hobby, and it's like it just makes me feel. It just makes me happy. You know, I like doing it. It's fun.
I definitely do think you could profit off of it in the future. I do think so. So, you know, if you were to ever not even make it your full career, but be like on the side, like this is a picture I did, you know, anyone want to buy it, I think you could definitely get it out there. You know, like I would buy quite a few. Who are your biggest influences?
For like artists, you might say?
Anyone.
Anyone?
Yeah.
Geez. I never really had that many like influences growing up. You know, it was mostly just like what I liked. It was like for me, being a geek, I like Star Wars. I watch movies, and I got my inspiration off those, like directors. Like I was always a fan of Tim Burton growing up. I always liked his movies. But there's just a lot of things nowadays. Like influence, I look at more like military side for like my career wise and stuff like. But my creative influence, I'd have to say, came from like movies and just culture around me.
Yeah, which is very very good. I guess I kind of see artistic influences as people that really I like when I look at it. I don't exactly look at it as just like what they created, but also how they live their life.
Yeah.
So like one of my biggest influences, even though a lot of people would like probably not agree with it, is Eminem. Mm-hmm. And I understand that like when he's saying stuff in the song, it's like, geez, this man like needs a chill pill. But if you look at his personal life, like he is just a very good dude. Like he'll he raises his daughters right. He doesn't swear in the household. Stuff like that. It's like his music life and his personal life are very different, and that's something that I've always admired. Like when I'm an artist and I'm doing this stuff, discussing this stuff where people are dying, and I'm doing like social commentaries, I don't want to introduce that to if I were to ever have a child, I don't want to introduce that to them at a young age. So do you feel any of that? Like
yeah, definitely. Like, and I like to listen to music, like you said. And I like to look at the artists and all that, and I try to think of like their personal life, and then I think of how they kind of wrap all that up into a song that they're known for. For instance, like Rolling Stones, "Give Me Shelter." That was
great song.
If you ever read, like, if you have Spotify, if you ever read a Genius,
like the behind the scenes
thing, it gives you a narrative as to what happened. Like Mick Jagger, he looks at outside one day and he realized how gloomy it was, how rainy it was, just stormy. No one was having a good day, and he was like, this kind of reflects the times right now, the '60s and the '70s. Like, they see that and they try to convert that into a song.
And it's impressive.
And it is impressive.
It's a feat. Yeah.
I like to listen to like those old songs from Vietnam, and I like to listen to and interpret the lyrics.
Yeah, my range is all over the place, but a lot of people, when they hear me say I listen to rap, they think I listen to that stuff where they're all like, give me the drip on my shoulder, stupid stuff like that. But I listen to like rappers that have a very important message. Like I like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. But once again, like even looking past just what they say, like I'm very inspired by the way J. Cole runs a business, and it has made me like try to turn my business around. Same with Jay-Z in his early days. Like he just built something out of nothing, and to me that's just very impressive. But I do also really like older music. Like I'm a big Simon and Garfunkel fan, Styx, trying to think of other Michael Jackson. Like I kind of go all over the place except for country. I'm not big on country, but that's the one genre that I will not touch on. But I'm glad that we also have that in common, that we listen to music. You are a very big music fanatic. I remember that from school. Always had your headphones in.
Yeah, nowadays it's more like symphony. I love symphony and like classic, because often you can create a whole story just listening to it.
I do that with film scores, like Hans Zimmer for The Dark Knight. But actually, touching on that, there was something that I kind of wanted to throw in when I asked you about influence. Outkast is one of my biggest influences, and I wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about Outkast to see if it's something that you would agree with. So, Outkast is a duo, an Atlanta duo, rappers. I don't know if you know them, like Miss Jackson, Roses, So Fresh, So Clean. But they never listened to the radio before they made an album, so the album was entirely different. I kind of took inspiration from that, and like last year I probably only seen like 7 new movies out of the whole year. And you know me from school, I used to watch like every single movie. And the reason I stopped doing that is because I found myself going to the movie, and then when I came out I'd be like, I really liked the cinematography or the story and the fight sequences. Like I want something like that in my movie, and I just realized it was making a lot of what I wrote very unoriginal, I guess. So I stopped going to the theater. Is that something you kind of do with artwork? Like, do you ever kind of like mask yourself away from, other, I don't know what the technical term would be, drawers, like portraitists, people that draw scenery and stuff? Do you ever kind of like not look at that for a little bit to feel more inspired?
Yeah, I do that, but I'd have to say it's just like kind of like what I draw is what I draw.
Yeah.
You know, it's whatever comes to mind. However, I want to make it look good. Whatever I think makes it look good, I'll do it the way I think it'll make a good picture.
Which is a good quality to have. My thing is like, I see something succeed, and I'm like, that has to be done in order for this to succeed. So I kind of want to repeat the patterns all the time, and it must just be a big personal flaw of mine, you know. But one second, let me open my phone to get to the next part. What is your favorite piece of art?
Like anything around
movie or
music.
You can say one of each, or however many of each.
I don't know. Like I've said, I really like classical.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of classical music. I like Brian Balmage's, Sousa,
Star Wars,
John Williams, and of course, like so with Star Wars, I'm a huge nerd, so I love all the series, the pop culture in it. So I don't know. There's a range of things. I just look at them all, just kind of combine them together for my own interests.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely do that too. Kind of like a folder of everything that inspires you, and then you can open it up when you need that, or makes you laugh, or you know, just makes your day go by faster. When I find it kind of interesting because I usually stick to serious stuff in terms of my films, except for the second film, which is, like I was telling you right before the podcast, a political comedy, which is unbiased. I just want to throw that out there. I still have a lot of comedians in that folder of inspiration of mine, and I'll have musicians, and even though that's not the main thing I do, I don't try to be too comical or make music. I mean, I'll make music, but I usually don't put it out publicly, and do you, I guess you kind of do that going on, because you like to draw and take pictures and write, but you don't but you'll listen to a lot of music, but you're not making music. Yeah, so we do kind of have that in common too. That is, I just find that kind of interesting, like inspiration comes from the stuff that you oftentimes don't even really apply yourself at, you know what I mean?
Inspiration comes from what makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Which is just crazy, because when I was a kid, like, that was my main thing. It was like movies inspired me to make movies, but now there's even like music out there. And I'm not talking like when they say the lyrics, I'm talking like I'll hear a song that I like, and I'll be like, in my head, I'll be like, what's the purpose behind the lyrics? Kind of like what you were saying with Give Me Shelter. A good one I just heard is, I've heard it before, but I heard it again, Conversations Part 1 by Mac Miller. And it's about Mac Miller basically having a conversation with himself about how he's sitting on his couch letting his addictions get to him, like his alcoholism, his hardcore drug addiction. Yeah. When he could be going out and about and making music, using his imagination and inspiration to actually, like, change the world. And that kind of, like, it gave me the whole idea of a short film concept. Yeah. Like, I just find that crazy.
And that's been seen a lot in other artists. Like Linkin Park was did a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like Numb and In the End.
Oh, yeah. It's just crazy, like how one art form can really inspire a whole nother art form. It's really something that's going to stack up for the generations. It's going to hold time. That's what I find so beautiful about art and music and films, is that you make something, and you can make something really stupid and not have a point, or you can make something with the deepest, meaningful, most meaningful message. Either way, it's going to stack up. It's going to stand the test of time. Not forever, not infinitely, but for a long time. I do want to have a quick commercial break. I'm getting paid to do this. 21 Savage's new movie I'm getting paid to promote. He's paying me $21 yillion. I questioned the validity of yillion, but he said, it's my currency, yo, and handed me a check with 21 zeros after the initial 21. So I stuck the check in my back pocket, and I'm cashing it in tomorrow. This is all just a skit. This is kind of a skit me and Zach we're working on, where we kind of just come up with a story as we go. So I'm gonna kind of come up with a real quick stupid commercial break real quick. Make it feel more like an actual podcast. Yeah. 21 Savage's actual movie is called Is a Movie. He actually is intending to produce a movie. Bad choice. It is set in 9 Mile, Michigan, Detroit. and it is about 22 Humble, played by 21 Savage, and he's an up and coming rapper. He lives in a trailer park, but he's actually doing really good. He's just saving up to get a really nice speedboat. So he could easily go off and move into another house, but he doesn't want to because he's saving up for this speedboat. So in the process of saving up for this speedboat, he starts doing what he actually wants to do and looking for speedboats. He can't find any he likes. So he decides instead to invest into a pet tiger. And it turns out that the pet tiger can actually rap better than 22 Humble can. So the pet tiger becomes 23 Fury. And 23 Fury and 22 Humble go to the rap clubs in Michigan, Detroit, 9 Mile, and they just start rap battling everyone. And at the end of the movie, there's this one guy who's going against 22 Humble, and he's beating him with his rap verse, and it's doing really good. And the tiger, 23 Fury, jumps off the stage and eats the dude. And that's 21 Savage's movie, and I will cash that check tomorrow. All right, now we can get back to it. How back to the seriousness. How do you want your art to hold up 50 years from now? I guess I wrote this beforehand, so after you've answered these questions, I'm realizing, I don't have to ask them as much. But how would, if you were to make it a career and release them, and a bunch of people seen them, you became, Zac Osgood, pretty well known, artist. How would you want it to hold up 50 years from now?
Oh, honestly, that's a question I never really thought about for as far as my art goes. I know what I kind of want to be thought of on the military side 50 years from now.
Yeah, which is I would consider, in a sense, an art form.
And in the area I'm trying to go into with the military is intelligence, which is a lot of battlefield strategy. It's where you're trying to master the art of war.
Yeah, so like figuring out the strategics behind attack, kind of.
Yeah. And with disregarding all of that, I want to be most remembered not for being, say, the best strategist. I want to be known as a leader. Yeah. I want to be the person who, as one of my sergeants once put it in my unit, in my company, he goes, "Don't try to be the best leader. Be the effective leader."
Yeah.
The best leader gets put into the books for action, say, during a war, like World War II, like Patton, Eisenhower. You can name Sun Tzu. I mean, you can be... the effective leader is the one that cares more about his men, who cares how to get the job done, realizes what the costs may be, and knows how to move from there. So that is kind of my aim to be. So 50 years down the road, whether I am known for, say, any strategy in the battlefield, like any kind of actions I've done, I'd rather be known for what kind of leader. Was I more of an effective leader?
Okay.
That is my legacy I want to have. Kind
of like, you want that to... It's a really bad analogy, but like that Hitler kind of reputation, not in a bad way, but where it's like, they look at... I guess that is a really bad analogy, but like in the terms of looking at how he was as a leader, they look at him as kind of a decent leader, don't they? Some people would say he really managed to like convince a lot of people, but you want that, whereas people looked at you and they like they followed you because you were that persistent and that effective with everything you were said. I'm basically just restating everything you said at this point.
I get what you mean. But yeah, basically a lot like that. It's like I'd rather be known with respect for having given respect to my subordinates.
Yeah. That's a better way to put it.
Making sure that they get home, making sure that the mission gets done, and we are always focusing on the next one.
Yeah.
And we're productive in doing
it. Actually caring about people, which a lot of people don't do anymore.
Let people be people is another thing my sergeant told me once.
Yeah. So, 1 second. I gotta pop up my phone again. This is kind of similar in terms of your artistry, or in terms of what you were just talking about, how would you want your legacy to be when you die? Is that kind of retreading the same thing?
It might, but like I said, like art wise, I honestly kind of have this illusion that my art's all gonna be put in a box in an attic one day. That when I die, my kids will one day find, my grandkids will one day find,
Oh,
and they
really?
might look at all that, and they might keep it. Like my great grandfather was an artist. I think he was his stepson Ron was an artist. In just his house, it used to be like I remember it being full of artwork and
Yeah.
whatnot. He was very handy with his hands, and I remember when he passed, I kind of just want to get my hands on some of that because that's what I remembered
Yeah.
a lot.
So you don't want it to really be something that the public really admires too much. You just want it to be more of a heirloom.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a good way to put it.
Yeah.
To be remembered by from my
Which is
family,
just
and friends.
absolutely crazy because maybe this is still me looking at it more as a career than a hobby. But for me, my big thing is like I've always said that I want to be known for like making one of the best movies of all time, and it is still something to this day that I stick with. Like that is my ultimate goal. When I hit that age, is for people to look back and say, "This dude made the next Goodfellas or Godfather, whatever, Star Wars, whatever you may consider your best film." One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest for me, but that's out of the equation. Um, So once again, it might just be me more looking at it more like a career, but with my art, I'm really trying to make a message. I've always told people, like I've always told Zach, like I'm doing this not for me, not for Zach, not for Jared. Like that's how it was when I started. Like I wanted to do it to have fun, to get good grades in school, to like push people into getting interest in it, like Jared and Zach.
Yeah.
Now anymore, I don't do it for any of us. There's a reason I keep bouncing back after I hit my low and I fall out of it for a while. It's because I think about kind of the youth of my family, kind of like what you were saying. Like, I got 2 younger cousins and a third on the way, and like, I've been granted the blessings to go through what I've been through in life. Like, if I'm being 100% real, I've been through, kind of minor addictions, stuff that everybody goes through, so like, I'm not going to say like heartbreak because everybody goes through that, but like, I've went through minor addictions. I've went through, having to like really kind of just like grow up fast and quick and all that stuff. And, I never was one to be good with defending myself. I think you know that from school. So I've had to teach myself that and all this stuff, so like, since I've been granted with those blessings of kind of figuring that stuff out firsthand, and I'm always going to be growing, and I might be going through some stuff that not everybody hits, on their way up the ladder, but maybe they'll hit on the way up their ladder. I can try to make a message with it, and then, when my cousin turns 16, if I look him in the eyes and I say, hey, and I can tell, in his eyes that he's different, and I can tell that there's something up with him. I can be like, what's going on? And he can tell me, and instead of just being like, oh, I've been there, and he's just like, oh, everyone says that. Everyone says they've been there. I can be like, no, literally, like, look at this. Like you like that's what I really like about what I've done so far is that you can go back to when I was 13, 14 years old, and you can look at what I've caught on camera each of those years. And be like, this was Mike when he was 13. This is what he wrote when he was 13. This is how he looked. This is what he was thinking. You can see where you can see where I fell off, where I came up, all that stuff. So, if he relates to a certain time period of mine, and I recall the time and all that, I can send him to one of those and be like, this is the message I was trying to say then when I was this many years old, and this is what I was going through. He can actually see it and pick it up out of that, and hopefully, in some way, shape, or form, that'll help him more than, people just talking. Because I guess my thing with people talking is like, at some point it just becomes a face, a face or a face and or a voice.
It holds no real meaning.
Yeah, it. Yeah. Like I, a lot of people from high school, they'll text me, like once every 3 months maybe, and just some bullshittery, and I'll just reply and I'll be like, hey, how's how you been? Usually unrelated to what they were even saying. Some of them will ask me for drugs or whatever, and I'll just be like, I'm doing good. How are you doing? And we'll kind of have this conversation where they act like they're interested, but you can tell they're not, because they never really were to begin with. Once again, like I was saying, a face or a voice. So, I guess where I stand with it, I've been going on a tangent.
No, you're fine.
But where I stand with it is, I've gotten to this point where, because death is inevitable, it happens to everybody. It can happen 50 years from now, or it can happen 2 weeks from now. And I'm not saying that it wants to by any means, but I feel like as a person, I've said all that I've needed to say as I've grown, and I do intend to keep it that way. Like, I mean, obviously my second film's not out yet,
Yeah.
I haven't said that yet. But I'm at this point where I'd be fine with ending the legacy where it's gotten so far, because I've made the message that I've had to say so far, And I mean, like, I definitely have goals and shit, but if you don't get there, the life's never promised, And I think that that's something that a lot of people, artists especially, don't really come to terms with, Like, I'm trying to think. Like, if the creator of Breaking Bad would have died today, nobody would know where that story's going, And they can't just end it. Yeah, I know you don't watch Breaking Bad majorly, but like, they have spin-offs and stuff going, and nobody knows where the story's going. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and there's still messages to be delivered. And what's he going to do? Like, they come up with it on the year by year. So I try to write as much as I can in advance, because I do like to have that reassurance that, if something out of this world were to happen, it can all kind of close neatly on itself.
Right.
So I'm surprised that yours is so basic. As not basic, but like so different compared to mine, where you just want it to be a heirloom. That's crazy.
Yeah, your legacy to me ends with what your family remembers you as, what your friends remember you as.
Yeah, which is.
You can say.
That's crazy to me, because, like, and once again, I don't mean to keep retreading. That's probably me thinking of it more as a career. To me, I've always found everyone remembering you, your legacy. You know what I mean? But that might just have to be the way I start looking at it, family and friends, because ultimately they're the only ones that actually matter.
Yeah.
They know you for you.
Yeah.
Someone, if I were to blow up tomorrow and someone in Arkansas sees me for Infinite or whatever, they don't know me, So what difference does it make what they think of me? Is that kind of how you view it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, what difference does it make? Anything? As long as, like, for family and friends, if that heirloom is a reminder of me, I kind of want them more to remember me as the person.
Yeah.
And they can look at my art, they can feel however that they feel in looking at art, because all art is interpretive. I mean, you can try to make it so they can interpret one aspect of it, but in the end, they will interpret differently.
Yeah.
But bottom line is, the thing that they should all take away from it is they should remember who I was.
Yeah.
They should remember the person I was, any kind of values I had, the person I was to them.
I really like that way of thinking about it, because my way is such a societal way, and it really shouldn't be,
Yeah, I mean, if my art was to go more public, that's the only interpretation people will have is what they see in the art. They will have no concept of the person I was, except for those I had closest to me.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just had something on the tip of my tongue to carry on this. Give me a second. So I guess I'm trying to pick it up.
You're fine.
Going back to what I was saying about how I don't really see movies. I've had a lot of people say something along the lines of, "Have you seen this yet?" Like the new Avengers, for instance.
Yeah.
I haven't. I'm so far behind. On all that stuff. I'll even have people be like, "Oh, have you seen this commercial?" And it's like, I am so far off of the radar that the public is on. Like I said, I only seen like 7 new movies last year.
Yeah.
That I end up looking at them with these, my disconnected little beady robot eyes, and Like it's like it just makes me feel like I'm in a different time period.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why I think the way I do. I think I definitely have that Howard Hughes type way of looking at it. I don't know if you know who.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah, one of the first airplane pilots.
Airplane pilots, movie directors.
He was all over the board, and he was
and
great.
real batshit.
He went really crazy towards the end. And maybe that's not a good thing. Once again, if I'm comparing myself to Howard Hughes,
made his persona legendary.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did leave a lot of marks. Actually, one of my favorite movie directors of all time, Martin Scorsese, made his autobiography, and I can't recall who it was, but someone else wanted to make another autobiography of the time period where he went crazy, which I would be all about. I'm a huge Howard Hughes fan. He set up there's this method in films where if you see an X on the screen, that means someone's going to die. I've actually done something similar before. I honestly can't recall what movie I did it in. I think it might have been Infinite, but it easily could have been another short film from that time period. At that point, I was working so hard on so many different things and producing everyone's stuff that it all blended together. So, like, you could ask me about Typo or TVD or Infinite, and I might get the production stories of all three of those confused. Because honestly, after Jared and I did Into the Wild, I don't know if you recall that, and then I came out with Candlelight, which was maybe like less than a month later or so. Maybe it was a little more, but I don't remember. But after we did those two, I really felt the pressure. I was like, people are looking at us, because Into the Wild blew up way more than we thought it would. I was never expecting Into the Wild to pick up like that.
How much was it?
What's that?
How many views? How many people saw Into the Wild?
At the time, I'm not 110% sure, but now I think it's over like 1,500 or somewhere near there. Yeah. And but like everyone in school, like I remember people not even in our grade being like, holy shit, and like Mr. G, who's like one of my biggest personal influences. I think
G was good.
Yeah, G's awesome.
I love G.
He basically like pulled me and Jared aside. He was like, this is it. Like, this is you guys proving to everyone like how good you can be, and I was like, damn, and we weren't even trying. That's the thing. I mean, we were trying because there was the whole competitive thing going on in the class, but we really weren't trying that much. Like, we were just trying to have fun, and like, like the project that we were trying to put out into that competition was not the project that ended up going out into that competition, because the way it was filmed, we really had to rearrange a lot of stuff. So yeah, we were trying, but it all had to shapeshift on us. And I also know that there was a lot of I'm trying to think of the word. We were really trying to counteract on Mrs. Keeker. I'm not trying to like start old shit with Mrs. Keeker, because I do like Mrs. Keeker, but Mrs. Keeker had seen our previous school film, The Moderate Gatsby, and she said that there was too much similarity to drug usage when it was a bag of sugar. Maybe 10 years from now I'll understand. Right, I still have tried to understand and look at it in different ways and perspectives. I still don't fully understand. I understand more than I did back then. I'm not so angry about it now, but it's still something that I just kind of scratch my head about, and I'm like, what the fuck? But so when we made Into the Wild, that was also another one of our mindsets was, be better than The Moderate Gatsby.
Yeah.
I don't know if you really get that way, but when people kind of like diss something in particular you've made, do you ever feel the need to come back swinging even harder?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There have been several times like that. Like, I remember I got told once that I didn't deserve my blue cord. Then the blue cord's what you get for getting through basic and the AIT for advanced training. It's the symbol of the infantry, essentially. Yeah. And it's like after I heard that, it's just like, what are you talking? You have no idea what it took to get this.
Yeah, you worked very hard.
I worked like my ass off to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I broke down several times.
All of high school, you basically trained.
Yeah, high school, and then I went back to Benning for training, and it was just like for 10 more weeks, it was just like, it sucked.
Yeah.
And after that, just like, I'm going to show you wrong. I'm going to show you I am knowledgeable in all the infantry tasks. I am I can do my role.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just like just to hear that you just want to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
You want to show them that you did earn it.
Yeah, definitely. That is kind of what I'm going for with the second feature film. I give it a year because all of 2019 I've been putting out shit, and it's kind of funny bringing back up Candlelight because the first film I did in 2019, because at the start of 2019 something life-changing happened to me. I think you kind of remember that a bit. I fell out of it, went back into kind of hard drug usage, alcoholic stage. But then I come back out of it and I make Candlelight 2 to literally make the statement on screen, say it aloud. I will never make Candlelight again. It's not because I don't like the project. It's because I've changed. My concept has changed. My ideas have changed. My vision as an artist has changed. The camera work that I did then, I don't like anymore. The story that I did then, I would only do it today if we were to add like 3 other characters to it, because I'm not trying to do something so basic, you know. And a lot of people I've heard, you know, one of my biggest complaints from the short films I put out in 2019 and even this year so far is they're so basic. A lot of them have just been me, or just me and one other person. And it's like, you guys don't understand, when you're working your way up again, you kind of have to have that phase. Like, Into the Wild was just crazy that was the first thing that we came out with in a long time. That was a once in a lifetime thing. But anyway, what I was saying in Candlelight 2, I already said that. And I said I didn't want to do another Candlelight. So because of the response to Candlelight 2, which was a lot of people not even understanding it, even though I verbatimly stated it.
Yeah.
And because of all the other stuff I've come out with in 2019, I give it a year, the second film, which I just filmed a part for you in. It's kind of my response, not only to, it's even a little bit to Zach Delphs, because Delphs, I love Delphs. He's a great dude. He's my manager now, actually, if you didn't know. He's great, awesome. But Delphs has been on this whole kick, and he's been really like persistent about being on my ass and being like, we make too much serious stuff. We got to make a comedy. Yeah. And Delphs, and like I said, he's great. I'm not shit talking him, but like me, I'm like, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, and so I had a hard time getting into that mindset. But eventually, I was like, okay, you and Jared both are on my ass because we're doing too much serious stuff. So here's a fucking comedy movie script, and I just came up with the wackiest shit, threw it out there, and just kind of ran with it because it's also got a societal statement. But I do think that the second feature film is for sure going to be better than Infinite, because we've grown, we've learned a lot, we've got a lot better equipment. I know right here we got one microphone. It probably looks like we're fucking beginners. I mean, we are in a basement after all, but it is planned to get 2 microphones. We need to get a new audio interface with 2 channels. But anyway, I do think I give it a year is going to be kind of like Into the Wild and Candlelight, where it's like, I'm tired of dealing with people constantly doubting and saying that I can't get back up. So after that tangent of mine, I want to go to the next question for you, which is, do the people that doubt you ever make you consider quitting?
Never.
Which is great. Actually, when you told me at the beginning that you weren't writing, I was worried immediately that it was like someone online had replied to one that you put up and like bullshitted you.
Bullshit all the time.
Yeah,
it's just like, mine it wasn't because their response kind of made me go, I don't want to write anymore, no one likes it. But it's more like just like, I just didn't have time for it.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. Like, and I apply that concept to anything I do. My motto basically concerning that is, tell me I can't and I'll show you I can.
Exactly. I really like that motto. And going back to my personal inspirations, that's another reason why I really like Eminem and also Conan O'Brien, because they actually don't go on the internet to read anything about themselves. Because they know that they're going to get shit out of it that they don't like. Because I would say music and comedy are probably the most critiqued keep, art forms.
Yep.
Because, like, you can put out a movie, and even if someone doesn't like 100%, they're still going to like aspects of it a majority of the time, unless it's a really bad movie.
I mean, just look at Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
You have so many different critiques.
Yeah, there were some people that loved it, some people that hated it.
And my tattoo artist kind of put it best. He's like, you're going to have a bunch of angry nerds that want to fight over... just want to fight. They want to come up with, like, who's right, who's wrong.
Yeah. And
it's just like that.
At the end of the day, as long as you like the art, you should be able to enjoy the art.
And that's my concept, too. Yeah. With my art is, like, if I'm not satisfied with it, then it's meaningless to me.
Oh, really? The art you make?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, if I don't have any enjoyment looking at it, then what was the point?
That's kind of Delph's point, way of thinking about it. Like, Delph's always tells me, he always goes, if I can't watch it and be entertained, I'm not going to put it out because that means other people can't watch it and be entertained. But what I always say to him is, I'm like, Zach, there's people that like different stuff. So one thing that we make, like there's a lot of stuff in the Vault, the Barking Vans Vault, Live Free Vault. Our new thing's Live Free, if you didn't know. Barking Vans is, me and Jared will still work together, but we only call it a Barking Vans thing if we both have the same, if we're both on the same wavelength, like we got the same passion and motive and heart for the project.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot of stuff in the Vault that Zach's always like, he always looks through the Vault, actually. I don't know why. I think he likes the nostalgia of it. But he's always like, we should have released this or we shouldn't have released this. He's very much like me, like critical. But then he gets to this point where he's like, I made this new thing, but I'm not going to release it because I didn't find it entertaining. And I'm like, just because you didn't doesn't mean someone else will. Mm-hmm. But I'm still trying to figure out your guys' point of view on that because I do understand it. I've put out a lot of things that I'm very unhappy with. Mm-hmm. Infinite, I wish I would have done different in several aspects, but that was all just a rushed creative because
in that scenario I'd say as long as you think you learned from it and know how you can do it differently and next time, then you can be satisfied or happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, a lot of people actually liked Infinite, even though I wasn't too big on a lot of it. Which was, that's what I always try to remind Delphs. Like, I think Delphs liked Infinite, maybe. I think he said he liked Part 1. He's so busy, he can't even keep up with his movies either.
And that's the same concept with music as well. And anything, really. You can be unsatisfied with it, and others will like it. I know that it's happened with me every now and then, but take, for instance, Slash. He is a legendary guitar player for Guns N' Roses. He is absolutely fantastic, a god on guitar.
Oh, yeah.
But here's something about him. He hates Sweet Child of Mine.
Oh, but everyone likes that song.
But everyone likes it. Yes, everyone likes Sweet Child of Mine, but he hates it. He said it's just the chords. It's basically just a warm-up.
Yeah.
And he's just doing it over and over and over. He says he hates it.
Which
but
makes
everyone
sense.
loves it.
Yeah, well, that does make sense. I guess in terms of when you're making a film, when you're making a movie, there's a big difference there, especially because a film is so much different than music. Because in music, you got these instruments, and you're constantly looping them over and over and over again. So I guess that does make quite a bit of sense. I think we've done a pretty solid body interview. I hope we didn't get too deep when we talked about that one.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I hit you up because I was like, I really want to have this one-on-one with Zach, and I kind of want to see his thought about that. And I was really, really surprised by your response. So I'm glad I did ask you that. No, I try to throw in something deep. Well, my new thing, I haven't in the past, but I'm trying to throw something deep in every podcast I do. Like, I got one coming up with Connor. You remember Connor?
Paulson?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got one coming up with him that's going to get a little deep, and, other people. So I'm going to start leading us to the concluding end. So first question is, there's just two. Are there any upcoming projects you're working on that you are excited about?
In the photography area, I have some things I'd like to try to maybe experiment on, try and maybe work with portraits more. I've had an idea in mind for a little while that, Iowa City down there, it is just full of life. It is full of different people, different stories, and I would really like it if I can, take actual good photos and like what you've seen on my Instagram, but I want to do like professional portraits and with it tell their story.
Yeah.
Like interview them, learn who they are. What makes them different to everyone else? Like that's something I would really like to experiment with.
I think that would be pretty sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that about the only thing that you can for sure say that you're working on?
That and then of course college in general.
Yeah.
Trying to graduate my major and try to become an officer and just
Delphs also likes me to kind of go on a little bit of a thing towards the end of each podcast where I discuss some things that we're working on at Live Free. So I'm going to touch on those real quick. We are working on the new season of chapters. Atrocity Expedition. Is it Atrocity or Atrocity?
Atrocity.
Atrocity Exhibitions. Exhibitions, did I say that one right?
Exhibitions, yeah. And ask Zach how you say astonished. He'll say astonished.
And then the second film, I give it a year. That's and me and Zach are working on some unscripted stuff. And there you go, Delphs. There's your little plug. And I wanted to also discuss with you that Instagram photo you posted where you wrote black or white.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So did you tell the public what it was, black or white?
No, I have not.
Are you going to?
I don't know. I've never really thought about that.
What did you think when I messaged you and I was like, don't tell
I was like, you had a very good concept. It's like that, remember years back, no, it wasn't in 2019, but that damn dress that was like, is it blue, black, is it silver, gold? It just like, kind of like, should I just leave it to like the mind to try to figure out?
Yeah. I think you should. But I mean, it's obviously up to you. But the reason I told you not to tell anyone is because I think there's something even more special about art when it's viewed as insignificant. I'm not saying insignificant like the artist doesn't give a shit. He just put it out there and he doesn't give a fuck. But I'm saying, I swear a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I got a very bad pirate mouth. But I'm saying insignificant in the case where you don't consider it important to explain it, because then it opens up several layers on the piece of art, and like you were saying earlier, it leaves multiple ways of interpretation.
I mean, to me, yeah, if I tell them, it loses its value, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
The mystery is no longer there. It's no longer fun or interesting to think about.
Yeah, and I was just joking with you on Instagram, but I was actually taking a guess. But I really needed to know, because I was looking at it and I was like, what is this? So I needed to know. So I know, but I'm not going to tell anyone. But I feel honored to know. Okay, and then we'll conclude this with one next question. What is the next phase for you?
What do you mean by phase?
Like what is the next thing you are working towards in life? I think you've already probably answered this here also, but
yeah, it's mostly just graduate. Get my major. I'm going to become an officer, and hopefully in the area that I'm trying to get into. That's kind of my next phase, and what comes after that, maybe find someone, settle down, start a family, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely feel you. That's great. I'm glad that you are working towards that point of calmness. You know what I'm saying? Like a place of peace in your life. Where everything just falls into place and kind of settles. But for you, it'll never really settle.
No, for me, life is like a duck on water. I mean, on the top, it might look all smooth, but right underneath, it's kicking. I'm kicking away. I'm trying to get everything in line. I'm trying to make myself float, essentially.
Yeah. There's a Mac Miller album where he kind of discusses those themes that you just said. Swimming. I don't know if you listen to Mac Miller much.
Mm-mm.
No. Yeah, you might like that, because that theme that you just said is like, what's the word? I'm having such a hard time remembering words. What's a word what's a synonym for when it is word on word for something that someone just said?
Like it mirrors, or
mirrors, kind of. There's like this saying or something. I don't know. I'll text it to you when I figure it out. But yeah, it very much so mirrors what you just said. So I think you might find that interesting. Mac Miller actually has his first posthumous posthumous album coming out this Friday, and I just kind of wanted to throw that out there for a quick advertisement. But yeah, I think we've done great with the interview. We had a really deep part. We've had a lot of really good questions that I think both of us have answered. This is the first time I've seen you in a long time.
I know, it's been nearly, 2 years?
Almost, probably, yeah. Yeah, so now we got to take the photo for the podcast, and then I will upload it tonight, which I usually don't do.
Sounds great.
So, thanks for coming to the podcast, and thanks for being on it. I hope you're on it again in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever want to talk again, hit me up, and I'll see if I'm in town.
Definitely. I'll have to think of another deep question, because that one was just too easy. But, yeah, we'll work on that, and then we'll also have to see each other outside of the podcast, right? In person more often, yeah. And Zach Delphs is working on some portrait ideas with photography. You can follow him on Instagram. Shout yourself out.
Yeah. If anyone ever wants to follow me on Instagram, what is my Instagram?
Is it Zachary Osgood? Is that it?
I think it's just Zachary Osgood.
Here, I'll look it up. Real quick.
Yeah.
One second while we look this up. Yeah, it's just Zachary Osgood.
Yeah, it's just my name, no space.
Yeah, and
all lowercase.
Zach has an H in it. I will post a link to it in the description of the podcast.
Just ask if you want to follow me, and I will accept you.
Yeah, accept it. And hopefully he's got more work coming out on the way. Zach will also be featured in the second film, I Give It a Year, which...
That was great.
Yeah,
look forward to seeing.
I don't know when it'll be out yet, but it'll be out in the third quarter of the year, and I can't wait to see you in it. I can't wait to be editing it, and I already know I'm going to be like, God fucking damn it, where'd I put that clip with Zach that I filmed so many goddamn months ago? Because the thing is, and I'm sorry again that I have such a bad pirate mouth.
Oh, you're fine. I'm worse.
I hope if your grandma listens so that she doesn't, get rattled. But that was actually the very first scene that we filmed for the second movie. So perfect. That's awesome.
Cool.
I'm very excited about that. And yeah, that's a brief tidbit of trivia for the movie. All right. That's it for this podcast, and we'll see you next month with the awfully titled weekly installment.
See ya. Yeah.